What does the brick suit do if all of your hard-fought work, and it turns out that you got a bunch of rhinos blocking Trump?
Well, I think you just embrace the executive action, and just Trump is going to have to do everything he wants from the executive office with a pen, and then the nature of the Senate and the way that they're only up for election every 6 years. Maybe some of them are thinking we can wait this out, and they're just not as responsive in general to populist sentiment. They're very opposite from the House in that regard. And, I think it's even being reported that some of them just resent being told by voters what to do. But they are working for the voters. Yeah. They should be listening to their constituents. Clearly, there's a mandate for Trump's policies. We want someone to be the majority leader who's going to let those policies go through. And there's another thing, too, of recess appointments is an issue, which is when the Senate is held to be in recess so that Trump can appoint people to the positions without extensive Senate confirmation. Now, that Senate confirmation still has to happen. It just doesn't have to happen first. And that will allow President Trump to get up and running. So if you don't have recess, if you can't have recess appointments for President Trump's administration, that's a major down signal.
I think what this story shows us right now is that there will be one political party, and it will be infight within the political party, which may break into two sub-parties, the populist and the traditionalist, or whatever you want to call it, because the Democrats are done. I don't see how Democrats are able to recover from this. The woke Democrats and the moderate Democrats cannot reconcile their worldviews.
No.
So you've got the guy on CNN banging the table, being like, they're not boys. Stop slurring. You're slurring. They're trans girls. Regular Democrats who are like, I'm a pro-choice Democrat who believes there should be some taxes and is just like, I would like my food to be cheaper, is sitting there watching this guy going, this guy's insane. Then you have these other Democrats who are screaming, globalize the Intifada, and they're like, that's insane too. But the globalize the Intifada people are not going to align with the moderates.
No.
And this is the problem you got with Hillary, Bernie, and Biden, that the party is already fractured in two. If the split becomes more pronounced, and I don't see how it doesn't, you end up with three political parties: the progressive left, the moderate liberals, and the Republican Party. And within the Republican Party, there will be battling like we see, but the battling over Senate Majority Leader, nowhere near as insane as the far left protesting weird socialist policies and Pete Buttigieg. I mean, they're so far removed from each other. The Democrats have done this to themselves. They have cultivated a fringe that, you know what? I called this a long time ago when I said it's the one ring. They saw the far left activists and they said, if this is a gift to us against our enemies, we can wield the power of Antifa. And then they were like, no, you fool. No one can wield that power. You're insane. And they're like, let's embrace the far left psychotic cult. Bring them into the fold of the Democratic Party. And now they're at risk of never losing because they've alienated Joe Rogan and people like me and Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard. RFK Jr. have been completely alienated by them trying to wield the one ring of Antifa.
So, quick question. Brick, you might know this. Why is Mitch McConnell, just because he's the Senate leader, majority leader, that he gets to pick who's going to come next?
He doesn't get to pick, but he set his timeline for his resignation, and he basically he's got people that he favors. And look, Mitch McConnell at times has done things that I think are wonderful. All right,
yep.
Not all the time, but Merrick Garland is not on the Supreme Court, and that was Mitch McConnell.
Oh,
okay?
solid.
So we got to give him some props for doing some stuff right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
But, at the same time, we would have 1 to 3 additional Republican senators right now coming in had more money been put into the races in Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada instead of places where, like in Maryland, where we were backing somebody who lost by 10%. So, Mitch McConnell is not always optimizing for the Republican Party, is what I'm saying, and he's certainly not really aligned with what President Trump is doing. So he's not trying to grease the rails for President Trump's policies to go forward, despite the fact that that's what America wants. He's fighting like a rearguard action to put somebody in there who's just going to kind of stifle it just enough so that it doesn't happen in the next 4 years. That's, I think, what his goal is.
So the fear I have is that there's going to be, if these Republicans who come in these moderate areas do not stand up for the popular mandate, I think they're going to get sacrificed by the Republican Party. The Republican Party is going to say, we don't care if we lose the House in 2 years. We are going to do what we want, not what the people want. And you're going to get the people who are in safe districts, who have been there for decades, are going to say, what do we care about the moderate districts? We're going to use them. We're going to go to them and say, hey, no, don't support this bill because you're in a moderate district and you'll lose re-election. Then when it comes time, they'll lose and they'll say, hey, we were able to tank Trump's agenda without risking our seats in Congress.
That's a horrible thought. Thinking that these establishment guys who've been in for so long have this kind of sway that they can kind of ruin the mandate, what everyone else who voted for Trump wants.
I mean, none of the choices for majority leader are good.
And let's
Can we get a third guy? Can we get a fourth person?
Yeah, you get anybody.
Let's also talk about the mechanics of this vote too, which is a sealed vote. It's not that we get to know which senators vote for who to be the majority leader. This is not going to be, as a sealed vote, we're not going to know who they choose. And so that's something that really is anathema to me. I think we should know who they chose. And what you talk about being somebody else, I think one of the most interesting ideas I saw, I think, was from Mike Lee to Charlie Kirk to Glenn Beck. And I think that's the story that was, that's how the idea traveled. But you could actually have J.D. Vance be the Senate majority leader simultaneously while he's president of the Senate and VP, because it's been done before. Prior to the position of Senate majority leader existing, John Adams, when he was vice president, ran the Senate. So it's not without precedent that could happen. And if you had J.D. Vance in that position, well, obviously President Trump's policies would be not held up by the Senate.
You know, I think, going back to my point about the Democratic Party and how it meshes with this, is that if we get a break in the Republican Party where they don't bring about the popular mandate, I'm not sure Democrats figure out how to win. The Democrats that end up running are going to be saying things like boys should go in girls' bathrooms.
Right.
And then you're going to have, everyone's going to be like, I guess we'll take the Republican, you know?
Yeah.
Because what else do you pick? You may then get a moderate Democrat. What was that guy, Dean Phillips, is that his name? I don't know if he's particularly moderate, but you may get a moderate type being like, please, can we get some sanity in the Democratic Party? And the activists will call him a Nazi, far right, and they'll run him out of the party. They'll say it's our party now, and then they're never going to win again. So I'm kind of wondering if we end up with we were concerned about Democrat one-party control, but now we're going to end up with Republican one-party control by people who are terrified of what the Democrats have turned into. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.